Channel 5 Network. This is Sportsline.
Does anybody want to become the new head football coach at the University of Tennessee? Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Sportsline. John Burton with you. The Wednesday extravaganza is back. Been away the last couple of Wednesdays. Hope everybody had a great Thanksgiving. And the saga continues on Rocky Top. In just a couple of minutes, we're going to check in with former UT assistant and our buddy from 104.5 The Zone, Coach Doug Matthews. We'll get his thoughts on what's going on Rocky Top. Here's the latest. Mike Gundy said thanks but no thanks last night. He's going to stay at Oklahoma State. Jeff Brom, he also basically saying thanks but no thanks. He's going to stay put at Purdue. A couple of other candidates still in the mix. SMU's Chad Morris seems to be a candidate, as well as NC State's NC State's Dave Doran. So that's what's going on right now. No announcement yet. No new coach officially at the University of Tennessee. And this has been quite a week on Rocky Top. It started with, of course, the Greg Schiano fiasco on Sunday, and coaches being talked to but not wanting to accept the job at the University of Tennessee. So John Currie still has some work to do, and they're looking to get this done quickly, obviously, with recruiting right around the corner, signing day. Your thoughts on that are welcome. You can give us a call right here on Sportsline. 737-7767 is the number to call. Also, we're going to get into some Titans talk a little bit later on. And, you know, it's funny. I think back to 2014, 2015, where the Titans won 2 and 3 games respectively those years. And now this team sits at 7-4. First place in their division, control their own destiny to win this division and get back to the playoffs for the first time since 2008. And a lot of fans are complaining. They don't like how the Titans are winning. They don't like the fact that they had to come back to beat the Colts last week. They don't like the fact that they struggled against the winless Browns and to win in overtime. Look, I don't work for the Titans. I cover them. I don't have a dog in this fight, but if you're a Titans fan, how can you not be encouraged by what you see so far? A real opportunity to win this division, host a playoff game, and you're upset, some of you, about how this team's winning. And, you know, some people say, well, you know, if they keep playing like this, they're never going to be able to compete against Pittsburgh and New England. Maybe not this year. Maybe not. Maybe so. But you're in the driver's seat. You're in the mix, Titans fans. So I want to hear from Titans fans as well. Are you satisfied with what you've seen from this team? Again, 7-4 on top of your division, control your own destiny to get back to the playoffs and win this division, which was a major, I can tell you this, that's a major goal for this football team this year, especially in light of what's gone on within the division the last couple of weeks. So perhaps you're a dissatisfied Titans fan still. I want to hear from you, or maybe you are happy with what you see. Obviously, this team is not a finished product. You know, the running game's still struggling, although they got it going late in the second half last week at Indy. Marcus Mariota's been struggling with the interceptions, obviously 6 in his last 2 games. He did address that. We will hear from Marcus Mariota a little bit later on in the show. But if I'm a Titans fan, and I can't speak for you, we can chop it up if you want, 737-7767. If I'm a Titans fan, I'm feeling pretty good about where this team is right now. A team that went 9-7 last year, came up a little short because they didn't play well within their division. That's why they didn't make the playoffs. But this year, again, everything's in front of them. If they keep winning, they'll be fine. And they get the Jaguars again, last game of the season at home, a team that they've already beaten pretty handily down in their place. So I want to hear from Titans fans tonight. I want to hear from UT fans as well. As to what's going on Rocky Top. First call tonight, it's Johnny checking in. Johnny, what's up tonight, man?
Yeah, how you doing? I've just been watching this with all kinds of excitement today. I'm just so perplexed what's going on up there on the hill. What are your sources? What are you hearing on your end? I've heard NC State. Yeah. I've heard everybody from Kevin Sumlin to Tyler Summit. I don't know who is
Tyler Summit's going to coach the football team?
So much. Get beat by Vanderbilt, which is pretty much rock bottom in my opinion. So did all you do for Middle Tennessee, and let's make America great again and keep on trucking. Thank you, sir.
All right, Johnny, appreciate it. Yeah, I mean, I think he said Tyler Summit. Probably I'm guessing Tyler Summit is not a candidate to be the head football coach at Tennessee. Maybe someday, women's basketball coach, of course, the son of the late, great Pat Summit, the legendary women's coach at Tennessee. But time now to check in with our good buddy, the coach, Doug Matthews, former UT assistant. You can hear him every weekend on 104.5 The Zone. He's got the Sports Saturday, of course, on Saturday. Big Orange Sunday on Sunday. Coach, thanks so much for jumping on tonight. I hope you and your family had a great Thanksgiving.
We did, John, and the same to you and your listeners.
Absolutely. Let's start with what's going on at your own stomping grounds, Coach. The Vols' search for a head coach continues, of course. We were just talking about it before you came on. Jeff Brom pretty much announcing today he's going to stay put at Purdue. Mike Gundy turned down Tennessee to stay at Oklahoma State last night. There had been reports that he at least spoke to John Currie and his staff. Apparently now the focus is shifting to NC State coach Dave Doran, who interviewed Wednesday afternoon, according to reports, in North Carolina. And SMU's Chad Morris is also on their radar as well. We all know the fans revolted against Greg Schiano on Sunday. Why do you think AD John Currie is having such a hard time finding a coach? And what are you hearing from your contacts on Rocky Top?
Well, I don't know on the one about Curry. You know, I think in all likelihood from about mid-season on, you had to probably anticipate, if you're an athletic director, that there might be a change made. Now, certainly not that you've made a decision on it, but probably had to anticipate that. And then I think the thing, John, that really kind of set the tempo and upset the apple cart for several of these schools that have job openings. First off, you know, we're going to have 6 new head coaches right now, at least, in the Southeastern Conference next year. Now, 2 of those positions may change. Ole Miss and Mississippi State were not changes that were caused because of losing or anything like that, but the other 4 were. But when Chip Kelly decided to go to UCLA, at the time that Florida opened, I think they probably were going to get Chip Kelly, and then UCLA opened. He went out there, and that kind of put everything, threw everything up in the air. Tennessee, I think, at the time was probably going to get Dan Mullen from Mississippi State, so he goes to Florida. But Frost, in all likelihood, is going to go another very popular name out there. Is probably going to go back to Nebraska, where he graduated from. So kind of threw everything in, I think, in a little bit, I wouldn't call it exactly chaos, but certainly scrambled things up a little bit. And, you know, actually the last 2 hires that Tennessee's had, in the football part of it, the last, certainly Bush Jones, and before that Derek Dooley, it was much the same. Tennessee went out and looked for and had other people in their sights, and ended up taking the 3rd, maybe 4th, or even 5th choices. And I think that's probably, well, I don't think it's certainly going to happen this year at some point.
Yeah, it really, the plot thickens, obviously, on Rocky Top. I want to take you back to Sunday, Coach. How surprised were you with what happened with the Greg Schiano situation? We've never seen that before, where public outcry and social media really basically seemingly caused John Currie and Greg Schiano to reverse their decision and basically turn down what looked to be a done deal.
Well, it was a done deal as far as both sides that agreed to it. Now, I know there's a little talk right now about who signed off on what, but the fact of the matter was Tennessee agreed to it, and certainly Schiano agreed to it. I thought it was a very bad happening, a bad example of really, I understand from a fan's viewpoint, but, you know, John, is coaching a football program and running an athletic department is just like running a business, and you can't let your fans or your employees run the business. And I think Tennessee probably made a little tactical error there. I think they should have got out in front of this thing. Should have said, "Hey, this is the guy we've checked on. We've really dug into his past. We've researched everything. He's the guy we want to go with." They didn't do that, and because of that, now I think that has a lot to do with the situation they're in. Now, I understand both sides of it, and I certainly can understand the fans' side of it. in some instances, the student body, a small group, about 100 of them. But I also see the other side of Greg Schiano, too, and that was, if you really read into what the allegations were against him, and allegations are even strong, it stronger than it should be. It really, I think that there's a lot of problem kind of drawing him into what happened up at Penn State. I don't think that was really fair to him on that. And if you look and see, when Bill Belichick comes out and Urban Meyer comes out and gives the really just glowing remarks about Schiano, that kind of caught my attention. But it happened. Sometimes those things happen, and Tennessee's going to have to move on, and has moved on.
We're talking with Doug Matthews. Doug, of course, D-O-U-G, no H at the end of his name. Sorry about that, Coach. If you were doing the hiring, Coach, up at Tennessee, what kind of coach would you be looking for to lead this Tennessee program?
John, most of the time, anytime a program changes, it's because of firing. And normally you see somebody, they bring in somebody that is kind of the opposite or in the other direction from the coach you had. One of the problems I thought Tennessee really had almost all of Coach Jones' tenure there, I never felt like we were really a physical, tough football team. And I think that's what they look for. Schiano was certainly that. It's kind of interesting, that Schiano was a strong defensive coach, and now everybody that they've talked to since has been an offensive coach. Mike Gundy certainly was, the Peay guy is certainly. So I think they're probably looking. Right now, they're just trying to get the best coach that they can find, and it's not going to be a name coach. It's probably going to be somebody we've heard of. It's not going to be one of their top 2, 3, or 4. And I think they're going to have a hard time, whoever it is, selling it to the fan base. Now, having said that, the last the last 3 coaches that have won multiple conference championships at Tennessee were Doug Dickey, John Majors, and Philip Fulmer. And all 3 of those came from very varied backgrounds. Coach Dickey was a 32, 33-year-old assistant coach out of Arkansas. Of course, Coach Majors was a national champion winning head football coach, and Philip was a long-time Tennessee assistant. So, you can find a good coach anywhere, but they're going to have to, I think, get a little bit lucky right now, quite frankly.
We're talking with the coach, Doug Matthews, from 104.5 The Zone, of course, former UT assistant coach. Coach, let's kind of talk about what else is going on in college football. Big weekend coming up, obviously. SEC championship game coming up Saturday. We'll have it for you over on News Channel 5 Saturday afternoon. It's in Atlanta. Auburn taking on Georgia. The Tigers roughed up the Bulldogs a couple of weeks ago at home, but they go into this game a little bit banged up. Who do you think has the edge in this game?
Well, I think still Auburn does. If you look at that game against Georgia, they just completely shut down Georgia's running game. I think Georgia had is under 50 yards rushing, and this is from a team that lives and dies off their running game. Made Fromm throw the football. That's not what they want to do. And the first game, I think it'll probably be the same in the second game. It is hard to beat a team twice, but I think maybe Auburn might even be playing better now than they were when they beat Georgia, about 3 weeks ago now. So I think Auburn holds the upper hand on that. There are some injuries there. I don't know about the running back for sure.
Right.
But Auburn is winning games. They're so good defensively. I think they're the best defensive team in the league.
Yeah, they did a great job shutting down Alabama's offense last week, obviously. Well, it's widely regarded, Coach, that, Saturday's winner is automatically in the college football playoff. Right now, Clemson number 1, Auburn 2, Oklahoma 3, and then there's Wisconsin sitting there at number 4. Now, they're the only undefeated team left in the Power 5 conferences. It seems like, though, the committee is putting the Badgers on notice. They're not too impressed with their body of work right now, and it's basically you better beat Ohio State and win that Big Ten championship, or they could be out, and we could see the Buckeyes or Alabama get in. Let's assume for a second that Wisconsin loses that game. Which team do you think is more deserving to leapfrog them and get into that 4th spot, assuming the rest of the chalk holds? Would it be Ohio State or would it be Alabama?
Well, here's what I think we know. Regardless of who wins in the ACC and the SEC, either one of those teams, or 4 teams, but either one, whoever wins that game, those 2 teams are going to be in, those two conferences. You would think it's very hard right now. It's hard to see a way that the Pac-12 can get in. The best chance they would be if, and which they probably will, Southern Cal wins. So that leaves the other 2 conferences. I think Oklahoma is clearly the better team there. But just to answer your question, Wisconsin, then I'm assuming that it would get down to probably Alabama and Ohio State. Now, if Georgia would happen to beat Auburn, that might throw a little monkey wrench in it somewhere, but some ways. And as far as who's the best, I don't know. It's going to get down then to just what the committee looks at. There's 4 key areas that they look at. Conference champions being one, would give the advantage between Ohio State. Ohio State would win the conference, so that would give them a little plus there. Now, none of these are, like, you can use them in any order.
Sure.
Head meetings, well, they didn't do that. The strength of schedule would be the 3rd, the 4th on that. And, I think it's a pretty toss-up there. You can make an argument for either one. If you're an Alabama fan or on the Alabama side, you're going to say, well, look at the horrible loss. I mean, of all the teams up there, nobody got blown out like Ohio State did against Iowa.
Right.
That was, a 37-point beatdown, I think. So what would be best for college football, or for that part of it, would be, obviously if the top 4 teams, John, win, then they're going to be in.
Right.
We've never had a year where they all won. So it's just going to get down to kind of personal preference on that. And the question, I think, would probably be, let's say Ohio State wins. Yeah, I think there's some people probably out there on the committee that maybe have a little bit of Alabama fatigue. Alabama's the only team that's been in all of the first 3 playoffs, maybe. So that's free. You're just going to have to wait and see how that ends. My guess right now is that probably if it came up against those 2, I think Alabama would be the team. But the way they're playing at the end of the year, they have injuries in that linebacker position. They really haven't. It's not that they haven't played well, but they haven't played nearly as well the last few games as they were playing about the time they were playing Vanderbilt in the middle of the season. So, again, that's been so great. I don't know how you would feel about it, or the listeners, but when we went to this playoff system, I wasn't quite sure. I was happy with the other. I didn't mind the playoff, but I've got to say that what this playoffs has done is really made about the last 3 weeks of the season, including the conference championship games. Boy, it really gains a lot of attention because, when you talk about an 8-team playoff or a 10-team playoff or a 16-team playoff, really what those last week was a playoff to get in to the Final Four. So you actually have those in the regular season now.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. It sparks a lot of debate. Coach, I'll get you out of here on this one. I know your focus is, on the SEC and FBS, but how about the job Will Healy did this year at Austin Peay? 8-4 overall, 7-1 in the OVC. This after they finally broke that 29-game losing streak. Unbelievable season at Austin Peay. It's a shame they didn't get into the FCS playoffs,
Really is. Austin Peay is one of the hardest jobs to coach in the country because of, it's a very transient area because of the military base up there. Interestingly, Will Healy's uncle is Chip Healy, who I played with at Vanderbilt. Father's Rob Healy, who plays at Georgia Tech. They were from Chattanooga. So I feel like I know him a little bit. I've never met him. But he did a phenomenal job, and I don't think there's any question he's a guy that's on the radar. Now, it'll take him a while. I'll be very surprised if he didn't work his way up where we're talking about him like we are some of these other the Scott Frost and the T. Martins and the guys like that now.
Coach, always a pleasure to have you on. I really appreciate you doing this. Please tell the folks where they can find you and how they can listen to you.
Well, every Saturday morning, 9 to 11, we talk strictly, we're all college. You know, there's a lot of people talk pros around here. I'm not one of them. and we really try to hit all of the college football on Saturday. Sunday, of course, Big Orange Sunday kind of tells you the name of that. And we'll certainly have this Sunday a lot to talk about. We may need more than an hour show to talk about what's going on up on the hill right now. But and then, of course, Coach Fulmer and I and Larry Stone do a coast-to-coast show you can hear every Saturday morning at 11 o'clock.
Good stuff, Coach. I really appreciate you coming on, and enjoy the rest of your evening, and happy holidays.
All right, John. Thank you.
All right, that's the coach, Doug Matthews, giving him a little college football knowledge. Big weekend going on, obviously, here locally with the search for a Tennessee head football coach, and, of course, nationally with all the championship games. And by Sunday, we will know which 4 teams will be participating in the college football playoff. We take a break. We'll take more of your phone calls on the situation at Tennessee. What are your thoughts, Vols fans, on what's going on right now? And Titans fans, I want to hear from you, too. Are you okay with this team being 7-4 and in first place in their division? You should be. We're back after this.